Hello, this video will show how to collapse expandable menu on mouse exit in Unity. I will link in the description a video that show how to build expandable collapsible UI in Unity. As a result, if I hit play, I have a file menu, collapsible expandable menu. And that menu consists of two buttons, file button expand and file button collapse. They have the file text, they're both located in the same location. Once I click the file button expand, that button will be inactive, in other words, invisible, and other button, it's called file button collapse. You can see it over here. It's became active along with the body that consists of other buttons like the new, open, save, and quit, which they are here. And so when I click the other button, which is file button collapse, again, it's become inactive along with the body, and back again, the file button expand become active again. So the video I linked in the description will explain how to make all that. As a result, now it's all looking fine. When I click file, the expand list is showing. When I click it again, it's collapse. But the thing is, when I click on file now and have my mouse hover somewhere else, the list is still on or active. And naturally, I would want it to be collapse or invisible, that body part, as long as my mouse get away from the body part or the file. So to do that, we can do the following. I'll need to ensure that I am out of the play mode. So I'll click that, make sure we're out of the play mode. And I'll I'll create a new script, call it UI. And I will attach that script to the canvas element or the canvas object. Here we go. I'll drag it here. So make sure it's attached. If I click on canvas, you can see the script is in here. Okay, so I'll double click on UI to open it in my editor, Visual Studio. And now I'll need to reference the three important objects, which are the file button expand, file button collapse, and the body. So under here, make sure I'll declare public and type game object, call it file menu body, and another public object of time game object, we'll call it file menu expand, another public game object, we'll call it file menu collapse. I'll save by clicking Ctrl S. I'm using Windows. Okay, so now it's just dragging or assigning these three public objects or variables that I declared. So if I go in canvas object, scroll down to the UI script, I'll just drag the corresponding elements. So the file menu body, in this case it's here, I'll just drag it. The next is file menu expand, it's this button, I'll drag it here. And the third is file button collapse. Okay, so we're done with the references, just save that. Okay, so I won't need the start method, so I'll just comment it out. Okay, so we will create a new method to check if the mouse position is on the file or the collapse or expand file place or the body. So let's declare a new function of type private, and it will return boolean, and let's call it is mouse over UI. And to this function, we pass a game object. We call it UI, and it return false by default. Now, first, we need to check if the UI object that we are passing is active. And the reason for that I will explain in the next lines. So we can say UI.active self. And so only if active, do the following. Second is to get the rectangular transform of that UI object. And the rectangular transform can only be returned if the object passed or the UI object pass is active. So that's why we have this if statement here. So the type rect transform, let's call it rect transform equal the UI or the game object we pass, which we know it's a UI, and dot get component, and the type of the component would be rect transform, open and close parentheses. So we got the rectangle transform of that UI object after we made sure that its status is active. Next is to get the location of the mouse, the position of the mouse. So the the location of the mouse or the position can be returned using the input.mouse position. However, this method will return the position in world coordinates, but we need the position in local space coordinates because in the next line I'll explain why we need it in local space coordinates. So to do that, knowing that I need the position of the mouse in local space coordinates, I'll declare a vector2 type, and we'll call it local mouse position equal the rectangle transform that we have here dot inverse transform point. That inverse transform point method would return would transform the position from the world space to a local space. So if we pass a world space of the mouse using the method input dot mouse position, so this is a world space, and this the inverse transform point would return a local space from the world space, and in return we have a variable of the that represents the position of the mouse in local space. Why we need it in local space, that would be explained in the next line. Okay, now we need to check if the location, the local space position of the mouse is within the rectangular transform of the UI elements that we have, the UI element that we pass. And the rectangular transform, which you can see it, so if I here, I'm in the editor, if I select the body, you will see it has a component called rectangular transform. And this component has different variables or aspects, including the position, X, Y, and Z, the width and height, the anchor position, and etc. So this rectangle transform would contain information regarding the width, the height, the position, the anchor of that UI object. And it has built-in method called contains. So if you pass this method, like if I use rectangle transform dot contains, it will check if the local position that you pass to it, whether it's inside or outside, and therefore we could know if the position of the mouse is within the rectangle of that UI object or not. So to do that, I'll say if rect transform, it's here, is that variable we have, which of type rectangle transform, dot rect, it's the property of the rectangle transform. It's return the rectangle aspects of that UI object, dot contains. So that contains method take a local position, which is in this case our local mouse position. I'll paste it here. And it will return true if the local position of the mouse is inside the rectangle of the UI object. Otherwise, it would return false if the mouse is outside, and that's what exactly we need. So our method called is mouse over UI. So if the rectangle contain the mouse position in local position, return true. Otherwise, by default, the method will return false. Okay, so we're done here. Then the next step is within the update method. First, I will need to check if the file button collapse is on. In other words, so if I click on a play, and we can watch what's going on here. So when do I need to check if the mouse is within the UI, and then if it's out, I'll collapse the menu, is just if you watch here, when I click file, the file button collapse is active. So when the file button collapse is active, the collapse button is active, is when the body, the whole body with the options is showing on. And that's when I want to check if the mouse is out, then collapse the button back. So first, what do I need to make sure is the button, the file button collapse is on or active. Do other things that we will see. So I'll make sure the play is off. So under the update, I will say if file menu collapse, which is this public variable we already referenced, we already referenced this button public object to it. So we'll say if this button dot active self, I'm saying check if it's active. If it's active, then do the following. Then also check if we're gonna use this method now. is mouse over UI, and I will pass the file menu body, this UI, which is the whole body that would be expand. So here it's checking if the mouse is over that menu using this method, but I wanted to check if the mouse is not. So I'll just do that. And as well, I also wanted to check also is not just the body that will be expand if I play. So I want to make sure that if the mouse is not on the body, and also if the mouse is not on the file button, then collapse the menu back. Otherwise, keep the menu on. Okay, so there are two things to check if the mouse is on. They are the body and the file menu collapse button, which is here. So we'll say and is mouse over UI, and I will pass the file menu collapse, which is this object. So if the mouse is none of on none of those two UI objects, do the following. If you follow the file in the video in the description that show you how to build UI using Unity, you would know that, let me play to explain. Once the file the file button collapse is clicked, once we click it, it will do um, different things. So if I go to this button and see on a click what it does, it gets the file button expand, make it active, which activate the button that's in its place, and it will deactivate itself, make it invisible, and it will also deactivate the whole body. And if I click this button, it will first deactivate itself, activate the other button, which is responsible for the collapse, and show the body. So that's all is done for you. The only thing is I need is when the mouse is outside the body or the file button collapse or expand file button, when it's out, I need to trigger the click of the button of the file menu collapse, because once this button is clicked, then the body would be inactive. The body would be inactive. See, this is it's unticked. That means it would be invisible. So all I need to do is to check when the mouse is out, then invoke the clicking of the button collapse, and that would make the body invisible. So to do that, click play again to disable the play or get out of exit the play. So to do that, what would we do is get the file menu collapse. It's our public object, which is this button, and we say dot we get the component, the button component. So get component and pass type button. Button is not available yet. That's because we need to use the UI from Unity engine. So do using Unity engine dot UI. And now the button type should be available. Yes, it is. And we open and close parentheses dot on click dot invoke, and that would simulate or invoke the click of a button from using the script. So if I save now and go in Unity editor and hit play, now to try that, if I go to the file, click on it, while I'm here, the menu is expanded, but as soon as I'm out, it will be collapsed, and that's exactly what I need. All right, so there you go. This is how to collapse an expandable menu on mouse exit using Unity. Thank you.